Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lizard Brains podcast. I'm your host, DJ Allison Drini. I'm joined by my co-host, Tom O'Gorman. Tom, how's it going?
I'm okay. Happy Pride.
Yep. Happy Pride Month, Tom.
Thanks. How are you?
I am doing great, Tom, and that's because my wife right now, Christine Roharic, she is at a work party, and they picked a karting track to go to for this work party. So naturally, I had to pull up. I had to go like super try hard. And Christine, she didn't join me at first. I wanted to go like 3 or 4 separate days for training for this corporate work party.
You did or she did?
I wanted to go with her as like training, okay? So last week she wasn't feeling up to it. I couldn't get her to go, okay? Which, like, understandable. I probably like scared her away. I'm a little intense. So Monday comes around. I talk her into it. We're about to leave. I look it up to see if we can like book races ahead of time so we don't have to wait as long. It's closed. They're closed on Monday. What the heck? Okay. So the work party is today. It's literally happening right now as we record this. And the only time we could go was during lunch because the work party was literally right after work. So there was no time to practice before that. So we went, and I'm like, we got to extract the most out of this limited practice because we only have like time for yes, it's a team effort. Okay. So we only had time for like 2 races. So I strap a GoPro to her head. We're reviewing video after the first race. I got headphones in her ears and I'm like talking to her on the phone, like while she's going like through her first laps. Oh, dude, it's no wonder she doesn't want to do any of this stuff with me. I'm an absolute lunatic.
Yeah, you are. That's crazy. Okay, we got to get the Bluetooth headphones plugged in so I can talk you through the track that's flat out. It's just flat out, right? You just steer.
Yeah, exactly. I would be like, okay, you can go flat through that corner, like just like stuff like that. Anyways, so we review video after the first race, and I'm like trying to talk her through it or whatever. And then at some point, it's like, all right, we need to just do like a lead follow. So I go and buy a race, and they put me in the same race with her. There's some other people in there, and so we're doing the lead follow, and I'm like making sure that she's still behind me, like looking back there, and like she's just kind of keeping up. And at some point I'm like, man, whoever's in P2 is like getting kind of close to me. Like I better like put in a couple burner laps or whatever. So I put in some burner laps and look behind, and Christine's still freaking there, dude. She's just there. And she got P2 in that race and had, right now she has like the 4th fastest time of the day. Would
you like to tell everyone how you know that?
Yes, I will get there. So, not being an overbearing husband, I swear, I've been following the live timing of this like corporate event on their website, and I've just been rooting for Christine. Dude, all right, I've already told all 23 audience members so far while we were waiting for you. But so P1 or like race 1, she just it goes by fastest time, right? So that's how most rental car places go. She kind of just dust everyone. That's because like everyone else is probably still trying to figure out where the track goes. So race 2, I'm looking, she's in P3. The times are looking a little off pace. And then I see a lap time where she's like 4 seconds slower. And then the very next lap, boom, straight to the top of the board, Tom. She literally gave herself a gap lap and like found empty track to put in like a flyer. Next level, Tom. You've never seen a prouder husband than you see right on this webcam right now. I am so freaking psyched.
I love that for you. And I don't know how she feels about it, but I support however she feels about this.
No, I'll tell you what, after lunch, dude, here's some of the things that she said. She said, normally it takes me the whole weekend to have that much fun. That's what she said after lunch. Okay. So she's not a prisoner over here, everyone, like starting to like write in like worrying messages to Christine. Okay. She had fun. All right. Ito's doubting this, but like, I tell you what, she had fun, and I don't think it was just to appease me. I think she legitimately had fun. She has not responded to any of my let's go texts after she won the first 2 races. So I'm assuming that she's just having a lot of fun with her coworkers. Lugad says, Christine, blink twice if you need help. Uh, uh, so I'm assuming she's just having a bunch of fun with her coworkers, but we'll have to have a debrief on how the races went, what could have went better, just the typical husband-wife conversation after a corporate work party.
I don't know if you actually realize this, but my job for over a year at the go-kart track that I worked at was corporate event, like manager and host. Do you know that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You did. Okay. So I was literally, I was the host of the person who was, all these strangers were coming in, and I feel like coworkers are strangers. Maybe there are some healthy workplaces where that's not the case, but realistically, how many coworkers know things about each other that is like not just work related?
Yeah.
So you get these groups of, at the smallest, it would be 7, 8, 10 max. And then at the largest, it would be like 50 to 70, 80 people, I think, was one of the biggest ones we hosted.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, first of all, I'm terrified of speaking in front of people. At the time I should say. So I'm like the energy of the group. You would be perfect for this job. Oh my God.
Me?
But also it was really entertaining to watch the people who would come out of their shell over the racing. And it was really entertaining to watch the way that some people would respond to other people's, like, I don't know if I call it success, because sometimes it was like, there was always, if I could profile, there was always like the loud doofus guy who was in like, he obviously played like football in high school, and he's like the sales guy, and he's like the energy of the office.
Rules.
And that guy like was 1,000% convinced that he was going to win when he showed up at the track, and he would be like, he'd be slow as shit. And then there would be somebody who was either really quiet, really small in the corner, small presence, not physically small. Although they would often be physically small, and they would just like wax everybody.
Yeah, that's Christine right now.
I'm profiling the shit out of Christine's work group at this go-kart track because I know exactly how they are. They're all the same. It's every office dynamic has the stereotypical this guy, this person, this person, this person.
So the person
that's so fun. I'm picturing it. It's a good time.
The person that was put in charge for like putting together this corporate party said, I literally picked this place just because I wanted to win. And as far as I know, that person has not won yet. I'm sorry, because my wife is there and she's whooping your ass. Let's go.
Because he didn't want it bad enough.
He didn't
put in the practice.
Yeah, he didn't put in his recon and like have a coach like help and stuff and things. Yeah.
Now that I think of it, I don't know that it happened more than once or twice, but there were people who would show up before their work event.
Yeah.
To like, they said practice, but I don't think they knew what practice was. So they would just like do races before,
Yeah.
Like they didn't show up with a coach. They didn't have a built-in marriage with a coach involved that was like stressing them out, making them do practice. They would just show up and like, I want to do a race or two before I show up with my job and, look silly.
Christine, if you happen to listen to this episode, thank you for appeasing me of like, because she was a little embarrassed. She's like, really? I got to put the headphones in? And I'm like, come on, I got to talk to you. Like it was like, she was like feeling a little ridiculous. And trust me, Tom, we looked freaking ridiculous. Like I got that. We like, because they're like, oh, are both of you racing? And I'm like, nope. And then she's like, just me. And they're like looking at us confused. Like, wait, why are you both here? And like, it's just her racing. And like, what is going on here? Like they were so confused. So, yep. I was the weirdo at the kart track today, and
that's all right. You guys are weirdos together, to be honest.
Yeah. Well,
she was a weirdo by proxy, but
yes, exactly.
Too.
I think she was weirdo by association, and I was source of weirdo. So
yep.
Yeah. But
that's really fun though. I hope she wins. Can we get an update? How are you going to know if she wins? It's currently 6:41 on Wednesday, June 3rd.
Well,
when is she going to be done?
Oh, she just did race 3 and she won again, Tom.
Wow.
3 for 3. Let's go.
Hit the button. Oh, wait. Can I hit a button?
Yeah, hit a button.
Nope. I don't have a button to hit.
Okay, well, then I will hit a button. Nope, not that one. Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
I missed this last one. Yeah, she's kind of run away with it. That makes her third fastest for the week so far. Kind of killing it.
Damn.
Yep. Well, the week started today. Let's.
Is that including you?
No, I didn't count me. I disqualified myself.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. It's let's keep it fair for everyone, okay?
Does this energy have anything to do with being in instructor mode and coach mode after this weekend?
Yeah, a little bit. You know what? I think if I was put in a similar situation like this with Christine, like 4 or 5 years ago, I don't think I would have had the necessary coaching tools to like properly handle like an actual novice and like not overwhelm them with information and stuff like that. Literally just like focus on the immediate thing that's within their control and within their skill set and then just like let them loose and then like watch them figure out other stuff on their own. Cause I feel like a lot of times with coaching, especially when you're first starting, you just feel like I need to provide a lot of value and you're just like throwing stuff at them and there's no way they could hold all that information. And I think at the Lizard Brain School, uh, this last weekend that we did, I think overall we did a really good job not overloading our students with just like a sheer amount of information, but really taking the approach where we just pick like one, maybe two things and send them out there and let them figure it out.
Yeah, I agree with that. Before we get there, Raul has a great business model, I think.
Oh,
He said Christine's going to get an invoice for coaching. And I think that I mean, I don't know how taxes really work, but Christine does. But I think you can create a model where Christine gets driver coaching to
okay.
you, and then she pays you, and
All
she
right.
writes off the payment, and then it goes back into the household.
I'm
So that
following.
you're basically, I don't know, then you get free money, I think. I did the question mark, question mark, question
Question
mark, and
mark,
then the
step,
final one is profit.
profit. Yeah.
I think this is the start of something beautiful.
Raul, reach out to me. I need to understand the clever logistics and counting. Lower the tax burden. Ha ha ha. That's what Raul says. Oh,
Yeah,
and then Anthony says also make sure it's a charity. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
for sure.
Yep. All right. We got the whole plan figured out, guys. Next thing you know, I'm gonna have a $20,000 sim rig behind me, and you'll know where that money came from.
Yeah. Or a Porsche in the driveway.
Yeah, or I might show up to an event in a Porsche that is mine. Like that would be, yeah, yeah. Because
Or
I might show up to an event in a Porsche, but like it's definitely not going to be mine.
right, it would be yours. Or actually, let's add or you see DJ's Instagram stories and he's off on a scuba diving vacation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Also an option.
yeah. Uh,
That would be Christine's pick.
that would be Christine's pick. We're getting to do all the stuff DJ wants this week, but we'll cover that when I go to what I'm doing this upcoming weekend. But how was your weekend, Tom? We just did the Lizard Brain School, so you want to talk about it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, for sure. My weekend was good. It was our second ever Lizard Brain School. I think we've talked about it, but the quick and dirty is now 2 regions have reached out to us, SCCA Autocross regions, effectively, and said, "Hey, we have a test and tune going on, and would you be interested, or would you be willing to put on a autocross school during our test and tune?" And the first time we did it was it last year or 2 years ago? It was last year, right?
2 years. Last year we never found a free weekend. We
That's right.
each
It was
had
2 years ago.
yeah. Last year we just had weekends where you weren't willing to like miss out on that thing, and I wasn't willing to miss out on other weekends, and we just couldn't find the same weekend.
Yep. So we did it once in Grissom at Peru. It was a Chicago region, the Tri-State Sports Car Club, and then we just did one with Finger Lakes region, SCCA. And I learned a lot. I learned the ways that we need to do better for doing those types of events.
Yep.
But I also had a lot of fun because the first one, I feel like we got a little bit of a mix of people we knew and people we didn't know. And I'm not exactly sure how that worked because the region did handle most of it. And this time the region did handle most of it again before the event as well. And somehow we ended up with basically, probably 75% of people that we knew. But it was also a lot of people that I think the newest person was maybe like 3 years into autocross and had been, hitting it pretty hard. And then we had people who were casual, but 15, 20 years in. And my favorite part of that was that it could be chill without it mattering that much. In that we didn't have to do, what am I trying to say? We didn't have to do anything extra super formal or like curriculum based or classroom based or like, this is the stuff that we're going to start with and then we move on from there.
Yeah,
It was
yeah, yeah.
literally like from the jump, it was whatever that person needed from the start. we're in the car with them, and then we just start there. And everybody got to have both of us in the car. I think everybody got to have at least one of us drive their car. And
If they
it was super
wanted.
fun. It was just, I love, I have a hard time with like things being the line between like formal and informal. And this one was definitely on the informal side as far as like the way that we approached it. But I think it worked super, super well, because by the end, we were like, we basically didn't have a cutoff for the time that the course was able to be run. And by the end, people were like, I feel pretty like I'm kind of good. I need to think about this more. I need to,
I think one person
whatever, be
said they
prepared for
had,
tomorrow, but I don't need to take any more runs today. Like everybody got a lot of runs and all that. So that
Yeah, I
was
think-
all good.
I
And
think one person got 40 runs.
40 plus. Yeah.
Yeah. Which like that's some testing and tuning. Like that is a lot of runs. Tom, were you
40 runs plus multiple times of one of us or both of us being in and out of the car for that quick and like
Yeah.
what the Veritasium video. It's a
Instantaneous
legitimate
feedback?
field with instantaneous feedback, and basically that instantaneous feedback that we were regularly in and out of the car, hopefully enough. But yeah, it was really good. What did you think?
Well, I mean, I think there's a couple things that we could do better, and we discussed those things, like having more of an idea of what we wanted to like set the tone in the beginning, like basically just set the tone for kind of putting everybody in the right mindset. Not saying anybody was in the wrong mindset, but just thinking like we've done 2 of these, and they
Except for that one guy.
Yeah, except for that one
We
guy.
all know the
and
guy.
and you know who you are. No, I'm just kidding.
Kidding.
Just like, and I think we got lucky on like the last 2 where everyone, for the most part, like everyone was listeners of the podcast. So they're kind of understanding this, like this learning growth mindset that needs to exist for them to extract like the most out of the learning that's about to happen. Right. But I think like the intro, like discussion could probably help set that tone a little bit better of like, what does learning feel like? What does it look like? What should you be looking for? And then also like just encouraging people to ask questions when they don't get something, and just like basically set the tone to make it where like the students, because anytime you do coaching, there's students who definitely get more out of it than others. And there's like a trend of the students who get more out of it. And those are the people that ask questions. They're the people that they're like aggressive about the learning. They'll literally be like, "Hey, I think I got the thing. Can you jump in the car and like let me know if I got it?" And then but you know what I mean? There's like an aggression behind
Yeah.
the,
If I
like,
could make an analogy, it would
Yes.
almost be like a husband coming to a go-kart track with his
Oh,
wife to like
no.
force her to be better at go-kart. I'm kidding. Go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, I think maybe, and we'd have to like workshop out the beginning spiel or whatever. But that's generally the gist of it, is like you almost need to be kind of aggressive about like getting the most out of this thing, because those tend to be the people who take the most away from a learning opportunity like that, and they're just a little bit more aggressive. And I know maybe the character of some people isn't, maybe they're just not aggressive. But we should encourage that probing, that questioning, the experimentation, all the things that will lead to like getting the most out of the school. And I feel like we could have set that tone better in the beginning. I think we mostly set it, but just kind of doing like a hindsight, like what would bring the most out of the experience for all the clients at the school. That to me, that was probably like the biggest takeaway.
Yeah. Why don't we do our own personal experience of the weekend at the end? Because we had the idea of sort of running through what was the most common conversations that we had
Yeah.
for like the topic of this podcast. I think we sort of did that 2 years ago with the previous school too.
We did, and it was
But-
different this time around. So
It was different, which I think is interesting. But also, I have some thoughts about the weekend. Yeah, I think it's fun. To preface it, you described your experience with driving people's cars this weekend, and you explained how when you finish a run, your default go-to like conversation topic point, whatever, is almost like just to do a verbal rundown of your own run. Like I'm
Yeah.
going to point out the things I think I did well. I'm going to point out the things I did poorly right at the end so that people can like hear my dialogue of like what I could have done better,
My
just
own
hear my
analysis.
analysis of my own
Yes.
run. Yeah. Let's do that at the end. But only because I don't want to lose all the driving stuff first. What do you think of that? Is that good?
What, talking about the things that we kept like the same conversations we were having with people?
No, yeah, let's do that now.
Okay. So it's Finger Lakes, so it's on a runway, so it's a very transition heavy course. And the thing that like I think the thing that we kept talking about was either it was literally like the first 2 cones in a slalom was like the thing that we like kept talking about. And what would happen is people would underdrive the first 2, then they would fall behind, and then they would have the car into a hustle for like the rest of the slalom, but then they were already behind. So what we kept like communicating was if we had the car in a hustle, like on those first 2 cones, then you create more space and then you have more speed as you are in the second phase of the slalom. And that conversation came up a lot. Was there another one that you were thinking came up?
Yeah, I had a couple, but I'm intrigued by the way you said that because you said they underdrove the first 2 cones in a slalom, and I think we basically had a couple sets of like 5-cone slaloms basically.
Yep.
And each one was a little different, but you said they underdrove them, and I was going to say they overdrove them.
Okay, interesting.
So use more words. What do you mean by what you said? Because I know what you mean.
Like the car's not at the limit. They're kind of like they get an angle on the first cone, they turn around the second cone, and next thing you know, now the car's dancing like third, fourth, fifth cone instead of like
so they're laterally underdriving the first 2 cones.
Correct. Yes.
I agree with that. Yeah, I had that conversation a lot with people, and again, these are people who go to this site all the time. They're people who drive slaloms and transitions almost exclusively in a way because their local site is a runway.
Yeah.
Or the majority of what they drive is that anyway. So they I was going to say they overdrove them because they would drive past the first cone and then try to start at the second cone. Sorry, non-autocrossers, but I think I want to try to extrapolate out the mistakes that autocrossers were making into bigger driving picture.
Okay.
As well. But for autocrossers specifically, if you have a 5-cone slalom, the conversation that I had almost constantly this weekend with people was to do the work early when the car is going slower and when you have the most amount of time to fix it. So that means turn the wheel the most, make the biggest weight transfer, get the lateral, weight moving side to side, lateral, like right to left, side to side movement with the steering wheel. And then once that energy is started, and once you've done all that work early by backsiding the first cone, backsiding honestly, the second cone is the one that I had the hardest time with getting people like, you can tuck in behind the first cone, but doing it literally like instantly, you have to turn the wheel back literally right away to get back to the backside of the second cone. And when you force someone to backside the first cone, almost right away they fuck up the second cone.
Yeah.
And then they have to think about it and try again.
Yeah.
And luck, with three or four slaloms in the course, it was fine. But it was surprising to me how many times that came up. In a way it was, and in a way it wasn't, because it is one of the simplest mistakes to make. But I do think my coaching point for this is to exaggerate it, to like do it too much. I want you to literally, like, instead of driving at the slalom and turning into the slalom, I want you to like do like a 90-degree, like hand over hand, like backside it, put the car behind the first cone, and then put the car behind the second, like really exaggerate the steering input so that you feel the space that buys you later on.
Yeah.
Because when you force someone to do that, they literally will all of a sudden hit the third, fourth, fifth cones in the 5-cone slalom, and they'll just be like cruising. Nothing's happening. They're just, nothing has to happen.
You overdo it so you can experience the sensation of that extra space. So then once you experience the sensation of that extra space, then you know kind of there's an in-between somewhere what you did, and you'll kind of have a better idea of how that extra hustle on those first 2 cones makes that space for the last 3 cones.
Yep. And that goes for, I mean, we've had the mythical 100-cone slalom conversation, but it goes for basically everything. All right, this is the hard one. This is an easy conversation. That part's like, if you force someone to backside the first 2 cones, in my opinion, the first cone establishes the the positioning, and the second cone establishes the timing. So like the first input behind the first cone,
Yeah.
that's critical for getting the amount of space that you need. But then the second one is the timing of the rest of the slalom.
Yep.
Does this relate to driving in any other way, in any other discipline, road course specifically?
Maybe at Mid-Ohio.
I know I was picturing the S's at Mid-Ohio too. I have a hard time with this. I don't know that there's really a direct correlation with it in a transitional element on a road course where you're linking corners together. But to your point at Mid-Ohio, if you
Mid-Ohio's a little messed up because you got all these like elevation changes.
yeah, and there's just always more space to work with.
Yeah.
This might be the only thing about autocross that doesn't relate really well to a road course.
Okay. What's the second thing?
Well, the rest, the next thing that came up a lot was brake release.
Yep.
I had actually braking in general, but let's start with brake. Does it make sense to start with that? Yeah, we'll start with brake release. I think we had mostly experienced autocrossers. Again, they're used to things coming at them quickly. They're used to reading a course relatively quickly. They're used to putting inputs into the car quickly. And I think a crutch or a symptom of that is that they come off the brake really fast. They're like brake, 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 turn. And then they just like are off the brake.
Yeah.
And this came up with maybe 30, 40% of the people I rode with, where they would get to a point where like their braking was really good. They would stab the brake pedal, get the initial application good, and then they would just like brake, 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 pop off the pedal and try to turn. Which is directly related to road course driving. But did you have this as well this weekend?
Yeah. And this is this conversation comes up a lot in iRacing coaching, in racetrack coaching, and then obviously autocross coaching. And it always shows it's like a little everyone like messes this up a little differently. Like everyone has their own flavor of how this gets goofed up. Like
what do you mean?
Like some people that they're really fast off the brakes because they killed their momentum like way too early in the corner. Some people are they just come off like abruptly, like they'll start to have a trail and then they'll abruptly come off because like they turned in too early. So like if they kept on the brakes, then it would like pull them into the cone. Some people will just give it like the brake, just like a punch, and then they'll just sit there and coast until it's like ready to get on throttle. Like there's so many different flavors of this like bad brake release that doesn't like quite like I feel like a lot of the explanation for like having a better brake release could like all these conversations could just be like a little bit differently depending on like how that release comes off. And I have like a way to describe like what we should be like what our experience with the brakes should be. And I'm kind of curious what your like how you describe it to people.
Okay, describe what? Because you just explained there's a ton of different ways.
So to me,
so I approach it from wherever they're at. So it's a different conversation depending on where they're at.
To me, if somebody is using the brake to tug the nose of the car down to the apex, that's like the most universal, like good brake release is if as they're getting off the brakes that you can literally feel there's like a sweet spot in the brake pressure that will like pull the nose of the car in. Or at least that's the sensation that I feel when doing that. And I think if people can lock into that feeling, then they just end up at having the brakes be effective on entry. Because if at some point, like the brakes are pulling the car too much in, then it's probably time to get on throttle anyways. And if you get on throttle and you're gonna like push too wide, then you know you turned in too early. There's like a little bit of like a flow chart there of what like the corner shape should look like and how the brakes can help influence the corner shape. Because the side effect of popping off the brakes too early is that you just spend more time in the corner. Like the car's not rotating or twisting as fast as you could. And probably the easiest way to see this is literally just watch your video and don't look at anything on course. Don't look at anything in the car. Just stare at the horizon and notice how fast the horizon moves when you're on the brakes, and then how fast it moves the moment you're off the brakes, and then how fast it moves when you get on throttle. And you'll notice that when you're on the brakes, unless we're like slowing the car down, but when you're using the brakes to tug the nose in, the horizon actually moves left to right or right to left the fastest. And really that's indicating that we're changing the angle of the car as fast as the car will allow us to change it.
I heard you explain this. I think it's very abstract. I'm curious, does this come from sim coaching where you can watch in the sim from the car's perspective, from the seat perspective? Like
Yes.
where
But
okay.
but it also I remember I mean when I was first like figuring out like this like the brake pulling the car in sensation, I remember watching my own videos in autocross and like because I truly believe that fixing your bad habits is 90% or 95% noticing when you do those things. So I would watch my own videos and
Agreed.
pay attention to the horizon of did I, and I'll do it like I would watch these videos right after the event. So like all the runs were still fresh in my head and I could like remember what the sensations felt like and like what it felt like. And I would watch the horizon and see like, okay, I could see right there, like the pace that the horizon's moving. I must be on the brakes. And then you can see instantly, especially in a C Street car, so they're so pushy and they really only turn on the brakes. Uh, I would watch the moment I come off the brakes, the horizon moves slower. And the moment I got on throttle, the horizon moved even slower. So
Okay.
I could see myself doing it well or not doing it well. And it's like that instantaneous feedback thing that we talk about all the time.
As soon as you put it in the context of a car of a specific car, that makes so much sense because you explained it in this context of a car that tends to push,
Yes.
which means that the car will rotate/turn the best when you're on the brake.
Yes.
So I don't think it's
some cars
the
are
way
better.
you described.
Some cars are better at that than other cars, but all cars benefit
Well, some
from.
cars are opposite of that. Some cars are like, as soon as you just turn the wheel and lift, they're going to turn the fastest they've ever turned, and you have to like slow that down with the brake. You know what I'm saying?
I think this horizon test would disagree with you. Like the car will always turn faster with a little bit of weight set on the nose with the brake to the point where it's just fucking spinning. Like the car you're describing, I feel like if you loaded the front end, you would just spin, right? To me, that's like a poorly set up car, but like some
Correct.
cars just drive like that. And then sometimes cars at speed will have that behavior too, like higher
Yeah.
speeds. So like you can't do like a drag of the brake to pull the nose in because the car would just be unstable, right?
So let me challenge you with go back to the Hyundai Elantra N that you drove at the Pro. And if you were to watch the horizon speed of the car, again, this is so abstract. I hope this is like verbally making sense. But if you're like focused on that and then you do like a little lift and turn with no brake, the horizon's going to move really freaking fast because that car just wants to like pivot on the front axle and spin all the time.
Yep.
Agree?
Yeah, it would be more spinny with the sweet spot of brake that wants to pull the
Potentially,
nose
yes.
in. Yeah.
But I think it's good to like this is how everything is just always like a little bit. It depends.
Yeah,
but
it really does depend. But I
you can
think
slow all that down. What's interesting. Okay, so go back to your initial thought with the brake.
I think if people
Your
can
point
lock,
to the person that you were describing that to is you should see the horizon move the fastest under braking.
you're not gonna see it in the car like as you're doing the thing. You're not gonna see
Correct.
because like you're not staring at the horizon. And also our
No.
eyes don't work the same as it does through like a video camera or what like because your eyes are gonna lock on things. You can't just see the blur of a moving object and like our eyes don't work like that in real life. So this is like
Yeah.
a post analysis thing. But to me the sensation that they should be hunting for is like the tugging of the nose into the corner with the brakes.
Okay. So my experience with the people this weekend that stands out the most is the temptation to want to brake as late as possible
Yep.
and what that does to the brake release. What I found more often than anybody else was that drivers would try to brake as late as possible, not leave themselves enough time to get off the brake in a smooth way, and it would result in them coming off the brake pedal extremely fast when they knew they needed to turn around the cone. the inside cone, whatever. If there's 5 inside cones, who cares? The first one that makes them want to turn. They know they need to turn. They know they can't turn and brake at the same time. So they came off the brake super fast. And that still puts the car into an understeer, or it still makes you miss the corner effectively.
Yep.
So every time I brought up the brake release, there was also a simultaneous conversation about whether they should brake later or could brake later or not. And a lot of times they were misconstruing the feeling in the car of that braking slightly too late or just at the limit, and then getting to the cone or the apex that made them want to turn and coming off the pedal super fast. And I had to have a conversation with multiple people about actually considering braking earlier, because even though the braking may not be as aggressive, it may not happen as quick, it may feel like you're braking slightly too early, the overall weight balance of the car is happier through the corner.
Yeah.
You're in control of whether the car is turning or rotating or not before you get to the point where you want it to just like turn and change direction. It can't happen instantaneously.
Yep.
So I would, I'm trying not to get lost in the Horizon thing again, because it's still in my head. But
what happens?
What's interesting to me is that it was such a fixation on braking as late as possible that multiple people would lose sight of, and actually quickly fix. I was really impressed with how basically everybody that I brought that up to fixed it like within a run.
Everyone
by the end of the run, if not the first time they came off the brake pedal, people were really, really quick to fix it.
Yeah. Honestly,
which tells me it's the thing to pay heavy attention to in the future for those drivers. Like, I have to make sure that this becomes my new subconscious executable.
Yeah, dude.
For the way I brake, because almost everybody had that like, well, I feel like I could brake a little later. And that correlation between getting off the pedal in a better way to rotate the weight around the car a little bit better, and roll speed into the corner so that the average speed stays higher, while feeling like they could be able to brake later. I'm having a hard time putting myself in that position. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why are those two things related is basically what I'm getting at.
First off, I want to say the group that we had like put together ideas and like these more abstract conversations, and like they would go out there and like this group was like super good at executing on these things, where it was really fun for us to be like, okay, yeah, look, this might take a little while. You're going to have to work on this thing. And then I would jump in like 15 minutes later and I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Let's identify some other low hanging fruit. Like, you've solved that one. Okay. I thought that was going to take longer than that, but here we are. Like, yeah. That was really fun and rewarding. One thing I see a lot is like with this, like really heavy, like late braking thing, is it's the release is just too difficult to time up to be effective. Like, it's like you're forcing, like the window is so small with like this large amount of brake, and then getting like the release right so the momentum is correct into the corner. It's just like, you're just making it way too hard. Especially autocross is hard enough. Like, it's just it's just way more difficult. So if you just brake a little bit lighter, we're not saying like you're just like braking at 50% of what the car can do, but instead of 100% of what the car could do, you brake at like 95% of what the car can do. And you leave yourself this window of that being able to manipulate and move that weight around. And it's easier to judge how the momentum can work for you in the rest of that corner if it doesn't feel like you're just like kind of just freaking slamming into the corner. And then you have to like somehow time this release off of the brakes, and it's just more difficult than it needs to be. The other thing that will happen is, let's say 50 pounds of pressure into the pedal is like just into ABS. If you're pushing 100 pounds into the pedal, then you are releasing 50 pounds of force out of the pedal until you get to the point where it's doing the same thing. And then it will change, like, and the next like 50 pounds of brake release. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, I didn't have anybody struggling with that this weekend.
No, I didn't notice that.
But I've had that conversation before, for sure.
But yeah, just like I'm going off on like charging the braking zone rant, and it's almost never worth it. It almost never is, unless it's like a pin turn, because then the brake release phase is going to be very short. Like keeping the weight down on the nose is going to be kind of like short lived. You just need to like get there, turn around, and then like drive away. Extending the brake zone in that situation generally kind of costs more time than like having a balanced car, and like the weight efficiently on the nose and all that stuff. So like the longer the corner is, like the more important the brake release is. There's probably like a moment where like the corner's so long that the brake release maybe doesn't matter as much. But there's like a sweet spot where like the brake release matters a lot. And then there's like the pin turn where it really doesn't matter all that much either.
You think the pin turn, it doesn't matter much? This is meta. Do you think the pin turn doesn't matter because the corner is slow, or because the corner is short, meaning you're going 25 miles an hour? You're not spending like the car is not traveling very fast, or is it? I'm getting myself confused. I know exactly what I mean. Did you understand what I mean?
Look, I can envision it in my head right now. Why? But putting it into words is like I'm kind of like struggling a little bit.
Okay, we might have to stop then and move on.
But it might be because the weight. So like with the weight properly on the nose, in like a very sharp short turn like that, the weight moves so fast anyways. Like the weight moves so fast around the car that it like traveling around the edge of the car, it's diminishing returns. Like it still matters.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
It still matters, but it's not the thing that's like it. Look, you got to be doing really well if that moving the weight around the car is your low hanging fruit, and like if everywhere else you're doing great, you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, I think any road course where your car might go to second, it was where we're kind of at.
Yeah.
That's the equivalent of an autocross like hairpin, which you don't see in autocross very long. But if you're in like a, CMP turn 11 where it's like you're coming in at 100 and something and you're cornering at 40, you're dissipating so much speed. The weight transfer to the outside happens so fast anyway. The car's in the corner for such a relatively short period of time because you're just changing direction and going back off in a different direction. I agree. That's when the brake release matters the least, in a way.
That being said, it is way harder to have a proper brake release in autocross than on a racetrack. Because on a racetrack, everything's just happening way slower. You have all this time to like manipulate the weight of the car and where it ends up and what the balance is and everything. And in autocross, everything's like super short and condensed, and you're kind of always turning. So it's not like you just like you'll. That like it just like the overall fundamentals just matter like so much because the dynamics of the car is the entire lap.
I missed the last bit of that. The car is the dynamic of the whole lap. What?
Like the car is like being dynamic the whole lap. So like the car's
yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
If anything, I'm still stuck on this horizon line thing. I think if you go back and watch an autocross run and the horizon stops moving at some point, like you're just going straight, you probably fucked up. You probably messed up. Like you should keep some lateral weight and inertia in the car at all times. And if you find yourself, like if you go back and watch your video, and especially in a braking zone, but just in general, if you're in a braking zone and you see like brake, horizon doesn't move, wham, it moves.
Yeah.
That probably is like directly correlated to coming off the brake way too fast.
Yeah, I could see that.
Or popping off the brake pedal just that's my thought. I did have a conversation with one person about brake pressure. They actually had it on data, and they had the brake pressure on the pedal working so that you could actually see what the driver input was, which I've barely ever autocrossed a car that has that working. I've barely ever driven a race car on a racetrack that has that working. That's not a pro car, but this person had it. And one of the big standouts between our two runs, my run and his run in the car, was there were like two corners where we were mostly changing direction and not changing speed. And their brake input was the same as every other braking zone. And my brake input was like half or slightly less because I'm not actually... it basically means that I have more fidelity on the pedal, right?
Yep.
It means that I'm just using the brakes to turn the car. That's all part of the same conversation, rather than his default was to just like hit the pedal. I brake, therefore I
Yeah.
Like, it was like, "Yes, no, I brake now," you know?
Right, yeah,
Then it's just the same pressure
it
every
was
time you touch the
it was like
pedal.
a button on a controller. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
it didn't have any modularity to it. It was just like a, time to take speed out now, bam! And then like, okay, time to go now, and then off, and then gas, right?
Yeah, that one's way harder to me than like a proper brake zone, and that to me pops up on a road course a lot too. People who are not comfortable with different levels of brake pressure doing different things. Um, so that was another one, but that was minor. I didn't see that one nearly as much
No, no, no.
this
Almost,
weekend.
yeah, almost nobody was just the digital brake button.
Yep. The other conversation I had around braking was steering the car with the brakes. There were a couple front wheel drive cars and then I have one last thought about like apex speeds, but there were a couple cars where it was like you have to wait longer to feel the rotation to point the nose of the car towards the exit on purpose. You can't just be trying to go fast all the time. You have to intentionally like give some of these times, some of these corners, some of these spaces a bit of time to like when you feel it's almost around your shoulders, around your back, around like wherever you feel the rotation happening, you need to be inducing that, making it happen on purpose rather than just like hoping it happens.
Hold on, I want to dig into
Go
that.
ahead.
So you feel it like in your back? Because I feel it in like the back of my head. Is that weird? Where does everyone else feel
I
rotation?
think it's all kind of in this similar
I feel it
space.
like it's like in my neck and in my head if I had to like pinpoint where the sensation is. It's such a weird sensation.
Depends on the car.
Yeah.
Like for example, we had a couple club spec Mustangs this weekend. The Mustangs, they're soft, they're not very special, like they're just kind of Mustangs.
Wow.
Those I feel them like in my shoulder blades. I feel them like in my what is this? What is right here? When you if you're like mogul skiing or like rowing, it's like in your back muscles, like because the car moves a lot. If you're in a sportier car that doesn't do all that movement, then yeah, I agree. It's a little
Yeah,
different.
Rolls says he feels it in his ears. Yeah, I think this is probably. I think everyone probably experiences a little different. You know what? I literally still feel it in the same spot on the sim when I'm like really freaking tuned into like some laps on the sim. I feel that like and
The what?
the simulator, like
Oh,
what's that
unfamiliar.
snark?
Just because I haven't driven it in so long, it's on foreign thought.
You had this like cheeky look. Yeah, and it's not a motion rig or anything like that. It's literally just sitting on the ground. But like I'll feel that like same sensation. I don't know, dude. It's weird. It's hard to lock down what that sensation is. And I feel like I know it is physical to like what's happening, but part of me wonders if it's like the inner ear feeling something that different than what it's seeing, and like that sensation is like the rotation thing that like, and how we perceive it is not, it's not going to be the same from person to person, right? And the fact that I feel it in the sim tells me that maybe it's not even like 100% physical. So I don't know. It's a very weird sensation, but I'm hoping everyone listening to this knows exactly what we're talking about.
I hope so. I hope so. I also want to go on a detour. I want to go on a detour and see if there's a.
I mute to cough, and then Tom coughs anyway.
I love it so much. It's my favorite thing about this podcast.
If you're watching on the YouTube video, you can literally see it in my face how much it annoys me.
I'm curious how often in general, but especially this weekend, did you have to? Let me just say what I think. I had to catch myself multiple times to not tell somebody how to pay attention to their physical input on the car, and instead like reverse the way that I'm trying to get some translate feedback, so that instead of making them think about their hands or their feet or their foot or their brake pedal or their input, think about their body, think about what the effect they're trying to create is.
So
and that was a bit new for me because I haven't autocross taught in a while, and I think that popped up more this weekend than ever. It's like don't tell someone to watch their hands. Don't tell someone to think about their foot. Think about like the concept of what they're trying to get as the effect, because I completely am with you on things that you've said before about like you can't pay attention to like how your body's working. Like that's not how our brains work. You need to think about the effect, and our body's pretty good at getting there.
There was a professional musician in the group, and
Oh yeah.
I got to talk about like my drummer analogy where he's not thinking of like the drummer is not thinking about what their left hand is doing and then also what their right hand is doing and then what their left foot is doing and then what their right foot is doing and they're like, "Cool, I'm just going to do all those things with all these limbs I have." There's literally no way. The brain can't do that. But what the drummer thinks about is the beat and what it needs to sound like. So as we're driving the car, we need to think about the quote unquote beat, which is the weight, the tires, the dynamics of the car, and then our inputs, all our limbs holding different drumsticks and stuff, will figure out how to make that happen with intentional learning, like just building good fundamentals. One thing you said you didn't want people to focus on like the inputs or whatever, but one thing that I did have a conversation with a couple people was their hands just like kind of death gripping the wheel, and that's just removing all this sensation that otherwise could be coming through the wheel, and informing them how this drum beat is going. It was just killing any of that feedback, and it was like a night and day difference when they just like consciously thought about just like holding the steering wheel as tight as necessary, but no tighter than that. Just the amount of control and the comfortability, and and unfortunately, like you're just gonna have to like consciously focus on that thing, whatever the low hanging fruit is that we pointed out. Gonna have to consciously think about that thing for at least a little while until it starts to wire itself into your brain, and you can do it without having to like consciously think about it.
Yeah, interesting. I think if anything, I might have done a bad job of paying attention to people's grip on their hands, because that is a visible thing.
That's why we
I
make
try
a good
really hard
team.
to watch where their head goes and where their eyes go. So
Yeah.
I caught multiple people like not looking.
I was doing that too. You would lean back in like the passenger seat, you'd be like this, right?
Yeah, you can catch, you can like you can get a lot of it with your peripheral vision
Yeah,
of
yeah.
like where all I'm trying to see is when does their head acknowledge where the exit is.
Exactly. Yeah. I was doing that a
I'm
lot.
getting off track here. Let's come back to that. But
Okay,
my
okay.
question is why do you think it's okay to think about your hands to loosen them up, but not think about your inputs and your body in any other way?
Because the hands give
I
you
don't have an answer to this question.
the hands give you the information of what's happening with the car. Look, everyone listening to this right now, literally try it just driving down the road. Just freaking like just wrench the steering wheel and then just like drive a little bit with your hand like really tight in the steering wheel and try to pick out like modulations in the road or just like anything that the vehicle's doing. Okay, now shake your hands out. Shake them out, get them all nice and loose, let the blood like flow back into them. Now barely grab the steering wheel. Just like fingertips as light as you could possibly hold the steering wheel. How much more information do you have, even just driving in a straight line down the road? Unless you're on an off ramp right now, if you are right in, because that would be kind of fun. You have so much more information coming through the wheel when you're not pushing past the fat gooey parts of your hand. Like if the steering wheel can live on you know what I'm talking about, Tom? Everyone's got the fat gooey parts on their hand.
I have beautiful svelte hands that are very lean.
Lean hands.
If anything, muscular. Look at this. Look at this bicep on my thumb.
Dude, that is a pretty beastly thumb. What the hell? My hands look dainty as hell compared to Tom's. What is that thing? Is that a gamer thumb? Have you been gaming, bro?
Piano thumbs.
Oh, piano thumbs. But no, give it a. Lugard goes, "What is this hand fetish?" But yeah, give it a shot. Like literally just driving around the street. And some people, they will grip onto the steering wheel during an autocross run, but when they're driving around the street, they don't. That's Dale Earnhardt hands. We don't condone that, Tom. Tom did
I was trying to be that person when you're driving down the highway and you like they've probably done something stupid, so you're looking and they're just like 10 and 2, chin up just a little bit.
Yep. I'm completely normal and I definitely wasn't on my phone.
Yeah. I think it's because there's so many other moving parts to the vehicle. Like if you think about the oh shoot, what did you call it? The not Venn diagram. Was it Venn diagram?
No, I don't think I've ever said that.
Not Venn diagram. The flow chart. There's a flow chart of like the inputs from you to the ground.
Yeah.
And there's your hands. It's effectively your hands, your muscles, your body. And then there's the steering wheel, the steering rack. There's the the tie rods, the suspension, the
Uh-oh.
springs, the shock, there's the tire, then there's, the tire flex. There's like so many extra moving parts that you having a death grip on the wheel does nothing. There's all those other moving parts are still there. You're just removing your ability to feel what's happening.
Yeah.
Are you gonna talk?
Oh, I didn't. Oh, hello everyone. This is Carlton McCar Guy. I thought I was gonna have to jump in and help Tom with all these car parts, but it looks like he figured it out.
I did pretty good, right?
You did. I meant to turn the filter off. So, I mean, I meant to shoo Carlton away. But yeah, I think there's like a couple things that is like good fundamentals for driving, and having like your hands like where the spokes are on the wheels, and having really light hands, I think is pretty high on the tier list of really like just fundamental things. Like if you have good discipline, good hand discipline, then everything else gets easier. So I like anytime I jump in the car with somebody, and that to me is immediately like the easiest low hanging fruit to identify, because it unlocks so many other potential learnings just from being able to feel what is happening with the car more.
Yeah. I feel bad if anybody in the chat can remind me what I cut off DJ about to come back to this, but I have something else that I wanted to get to. I had somebody that
I remember.
I think this is oh, you do? Go ahead.
Yeah.
What was it? Because I remember mine.
My favorite spot. I'm doing the same thing, Tom. Me and Tom both have our fingers crossed, which means if you cross your fingers when you're trying to remember something, you'll like always remember it. Anyways, before I forget it by explaining that, it was always the turnaround. I would lean like back and to the right and like just stare at when their eyes would look at that first slalom cone, because that kind of dictated like when they could actually get on throttle. And the people who looked at it earlier literally ended up in the right spot more often.
Yep. Thank you for that. I agree with that was the best test on this course, because we weren't changing direction. It was mostly just like straight line transitions. But when you are riding with somebody, if you don't see their neck or head turn at all, that's like extra dead giveaway. But if is that right?
Yeah. What do you mean? You're lost
I'm trying
in
to
your own
think with
thoughts right now?
so you can, if you see their head kind of moving a little bit or not moving much during transitions, that's fine. But if you see them doing like you're changing direction 180 degrees and the exit's over there, like it's across the window from you on the on the passenger side of the car, and I don't see your head turn or your neck move, dead giveaway that you don't have a game plan for where you're going to end up.
Or even
and
worse,
I didn't actually have that much this weekend, but I did have it a couple times.
I had it a couple times where somebody would get in throttle and then their head would snap, and it's like, ooh, hold on, we got to figure that out.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what was fun about that is this has been since like almost 20 years of autocross instructing. But when you notice that happening, the exercise becomes, I'm going to verbally call out to you when I would be looking for these exits, and I just want you to try to follow me. And almost every single time they're like, what? That early? Like it blows. It's like, oh my God, like they can't keep up. They don't like, because obviously they're mentally not ahead, which means they're visually not ahead, or vice versa, whatever I mean. But it's such a like stark learning tool. And I think I honestly, if you're one of those sad sacks who rides on HPDEs, good luck about, I don't know. I hate doing that. But if you are, watch for that too. Like if you're going into turn 1 at VIR and you don't see their head turn, or you're going into the keyhole at Mid-Ohio and you don't see their head turn, or you're going into a hairpin at COTA. I guess no one drives at COTA publicly anymore, but you know what I mean? Like you don't see their head turn.
Yeah.
Have the conversation and maybe give either a hand motion, or if you have a radio or something, you can hear them in the car, give like a verbal. It probably should happen before the break point in a perfect world, but if it's a long braking zone, it should happen maybe during the braking zone, to make sure that they know where they're going, that we know where we're going. And whoever you are, if you're doing it by yourself and you realize, like, watch your video, see if your head turns. If your head doesn't turn, how do you know where you're going?
Yeah. It's our brains are amazingly, and I'm not saying ours isn't like me and Tom's. I'm sure they're pretty good at it too, but I'm saying like ours, like human beings, our brains are super, super good at trajectories. Think about it. Somebody throws you a ball and it's like, 2 feet to your right or left or whatever, and you're trying to catch the ball. You literally move your entire body that couple feet to reposition yourself the moment that ball leaves a hand. Like our brains see the trajectory of something for a split second. We already know where it's going to end up. It's the same thing in a car. As long as our eyes are like given that information, then our brain will do the rest of the trajectory, and you'll know when to get in the throttle. If you got in the throttle, if you need to lift real quick and get back into it because like you were going to run wider than you wanted to. But we need to have that spatial information for our brains to do that like wizard math in the background that we don't even think about.
Yep. The subconscious executable
of calculus.
We should make a shirt that just says subconscious.exe.
Oh, we should. Yeah.
But I also think that ties to, I just made the joke and I lost what I was going to say.
Oh no, you didn't cross your fingers. It's gone forever.
No, I have the other one still here.
Yeah, you're running out. Tom's running out of fingers over here.
Yeah.
Kyle O says Wizard Math would be a sick band name.
It would, yeah.
Yeah, maybe if you guys are a bunch of nerds.
Oh, what I was going to say is that
reminded you?
I think this becomes extra complicated in autocross, but maybe it happens on the road course too, is when you have to do those types of look aheads while doing something else.
Yes.
So for example, at the school this weekend, we had a 5-cone slalom that was also the final cone of the slalom. The final 2 cones of the slalom were a braking zone for a 90-degree corner. So you had to be ahead of the car enough that you had mental bandwidth to remember to look to the exit while finishing the slalom and braking the car and getting off the brakes in a way that got you into the corner.
It was
That's the kind of multitasking that autocross requires you to do.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, you will not ever be exceptional at autocross. Like that's a line in the sand that I think is true. And you can get away with it in a way, but you have to be able to identify like this is one of those moments where I need to have created myself bandwidth so that I can do 2 things at once mentally almost.
You know what my favorite part of the weekend was, Tom, is that and I don't know, because you made most of the course. So like maybe you were big brain in the whole thing, but we really did end up with like a course that had like a lot of cool, because like the last autocross school we did, we just tag teamed, like we just tagged on to the existing test and tune course that was there. But in this one, we actually got to make our own, and we had some general ideas of like, okay, we want a slalom where we want people to actually be able to exit it. We want a slalom where people can't exit it. Stuff like that, right? And then, but like we ended up with all these like really awesome teachable moments in like different various spots of the course. Like for example, and people that weren't there aren't going to know what we were talking about, but at the very end, you could front side a tunnel and still like make it across the finish line. And sometimes people would like they would just drive straight through the tunnel, and then they would be kind of just sitting there driving in a straight line till they got to the finish line. And by like changing angles before that, you could make it where like, like you had the front side angle on this last tunnel, and then you still had to like have the car turning as you got to the finish line. It was really interesting. And I accidentally made the biggest big brain kind of 5-cone slalom ever. And if I ever do actually make a course, Tom, I'm stealing that, because me ending up with like a 5-cone slalom that was disguised as not a 5-cone slalom was one of the coolest accidents I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. Is that kind of like spamming a spawn point with a noob tube?
No,
front siding a tunnel for the finish.
No, not really, because it wasn't making people rage quit and come play Halo with me. So
that's true. That's true.
Yeah. Though maybe if I had it set up, maybe I would have thought of something. It's like, actually, we're going to completely nuke this school, and I'm going to have like a Halo land set up in the corner over here. And my real goals here is just to have everyone come play Halo with me.
Play Halo, yeah.
Yeah.
The last takeaway that I had from the school was that I had a conversation with a couple people about being willing to let the apex speed, the ultimate apex speed, be lower and spend less time at that minimum speed than carrying a slightly higher minimum speed through a corner for the sake of spending less time turning overall. Did that verbal description make sense?
Yeah, another way we could say that is you go a little bit slower so you can start the actual exit of the corner sooner.
Yes. Yeah, and I think I think this course didn't reward that a ton, actually.
No,
That was maybe the one spot where we didn't create a course that rewarded it, which is fine,
it's
but
kind of hard
there were
on
a couple
a
spots where, like, when I drove the car versus when someone else drove the car, I almost tried to make that point when I drove every car, especially if someone had data, so that if they went back and looked at data, they could see exactly what it looked like.
yeah.
And if you're having a hard time picturing this, think of the letter U versus the letter V, and that's your speed trace. So the letter U, like your speed comes down and it spends some time towards the bottom of the trough or the bottom of the U, and then it comes back up versus the V, it like comes straight down, spends a moment there and goes straight back up.
Yep.
To me, autocross rewards Vs rather than Us.
Yep. I agree.
And I had to talk to a couple people about being willing to do that, especially like I think I talked to at least one Mustang person about that. I talked to the all-wheel drive Golf about that, like pointing and shooting effectively is another way to say it. That you're willing to spend it feels weird because on a, you know, especially a video game or in theory, like your line should be like arky and sweepy, and you should spend, you know, you come down to that minimum speed and then you just kind of accelerate away from it and everything. But an autocross course, it's such a small distance relative to the speed the cars can travel. Even with lower horsepower cars, I think it rewards V's over U's for the most part.
It rewards
and having that consideration, at least that consideration, if not that approach from the start, is critical to me.
to me that the V at the bottom of that speed distance trace means that we had like a really efficient pivot of the car, because if you're able to end the braking and start the accelerating like right away, and it assuming it's at the apex of the corner, which is where you would make like the V's of V's, then that tells me that we got like a really good twist on the vehicle, like as we were getting in power, because then
Right, the nose is pointed,
exactly.
and you're already going.
Because then we were able to accelerate cleanly from wherever we're at. We didn't have to like partial throttle in, and are we going to keep there? And then the lines are like swoopier than they need to be to get back to where we were going. And yeah, there's a lot of, we could really get into the weeds about, like, because the thing about autocross is so, and like, I think
Abstract, yeah.
Yeah, it's so abstract. And I honestly think like driving on racetracks is easier. Like, because you have more.
I agree 1,000%.
Yeah, because it's just more. I don't know. It's just, I feel like the flow charts has less moving pieces. In autocross, it feels like the flow chart goes in like in every which direction. This, if this, but also when this, but maybe not if this. Like, and a racetrack is like very if this then that for the most part. Like, there's a couple like branching paths in that like quote unquote flow chart. But yeah, autocross is very cerebral, very abstract. And honestly, I think it's a pretty difficult thing to coach and to learn. I think, but that being said, I think if you can figure that out, everything else is easier.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think I talk, and I certainly taught some autocross stuff in pretty black and white terms. Like when we were given the course walk, it's like, I truly believe that you should have the car. Damn, I'm going to make a complex analogy again. But like, you know, when I pointed out, like, you should have the car parallel here and plan on going straight, even though this is an exit where you're probably going to end up over there, 2 car lengths to the right, and you're going to have to be winding and turning the wheel through all this. In a perfect world, you came off this corner and you are literally pointed straight at the next thing, and it's just an acceleration zone. That's not what I actually do, but that's what I think of it like, and I think that's an advantage to think of it in those in those extreme terms, so that you get as close to that as possible.
Yeah, so Tom likes to like overcompensate what his like mental view of the course is, so then he doesn't go veering in the opposite direction, which would be these like longer distant lines, these like swoopy, like where you can't commit on throttle, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I do that for 2 reasons. One, to minimize distance, and one, to maximize straight lines or acceleration zones where I'm doing minimal steering. So when I say these really black and white phrases or whatever I'm talking about. Like I'm thinking of it in that extreme. I'm not doing it in that extreme. I'm just trying to get as close to that extreme as I can.
Yeah, yeah. I have a question, just because I've never done like a starting line or an Evo school or anything like that. Do they talk about like course walks and the things that the top drivers are looking for, and like because we take everyone on a course walk, so I'm just kind of curious like how that compares to these other schools.
Yeah, theirs are a little bit more curriculum based, where like especially the starting line, actually both are very like they talk about key cones a lot, and the key cones are the outside exit cones.
Yeah, the limiting cones
to find that. Yeah. And they actually they call it the rabbit, and they have one of the instructors walk like one full corner ahead and stand at the key cones.
Okay.
So that you can be like, okay, so you're at this part of the course, and then they do a little pop quiz, like, what's the key cone? And the other instructor's like off in the distance over there, and then they stop and they're standing next to it, and they're like, that's the key cone. That's what you want to look for.
What if the other instructor's not on the same page?
It's great. Wait, what?
What if the other instructor's not on the same page? Like there's a debate on what the key cones are.
It happens.
Yeah.
So that to me, that's why the curriculum stuff is so tough. Like you got to be able to think about concepts, and the better you get at autocross, the better you get about thinking of concepts and the way you like structure your approach.
I think we'll stick to this like advanced level, like you're already fast, and like come to our school to get even faster level.
We're beyond Evo school.
Yeah. You know, you got starting line, Evo school, and then you got lizard brain school. Look, if you already got a jacket, but you want more, sign up for the lizard brain school. Hell yeah.
That would stress me out. A bunch of national champions
dude, that'd be
showing
sick.
up, and I got to try to help them.
You know, honestly, like I think that would be really good. Like, so like at one point, because everyone there was like really good. Like everyone was already like a really proficient autocrosser. At some point, people started hopping out of their car into passenger seats of other car, and people started like helping each other while they were waiting for like me and Tom to get there. So it was a very like collaborative effort. So I'm kind of wondering like, what does like a jacket school look like? Like everyone has a jacket and it's just like everyone knows like the basics, but like what if everyone was collaborative in this like jacket meetup, and everyone just like shares ideas and things, and just like it's like this huge collaborative effort, like everyone's jumping in the passenger seat of everyone else's car and like all working together to like just separate themselves from all these other like alien-ass aliens. I don't know. To me, I'm like nerd chilling over that. That sounds awesome.
It does sound awesome, actually. Yeah. The closest I've done to that is that after starting line schools and Evo schools, we would always drive the local event the following day, kind of like this weekend. And most of the instructors would drive the same car, whether it was a rental car or somebody else's a local person's car. And getting like three or four national caliber instructors in the same car for a day is really, really fun.
Yeah, it would be
especially if it's a rental car, especially if it's like a bad autocross car. In a way.
Yeah.
It's good.
Look, Tom excels in terrible driving cars. I don't know what it is about you, Tom. You just jump in a terrible driving car, and you just somehow separate yourself from everyone else when the car is absolutely dog shit. Tom does his best. So of course Tom likes the rental car challenge. Of course.
I do love the rental car challenge. I mean, anybody can drive a good car.
You know what? You keep saying that. And someday I'll figure out how to also drive a good car. That's where it's a work in progress.
You literally won a championship driving a good car. You're a maniac.
I'm not satisfied with one, Tom. I need enough jackets where they just start ending up at Salvation Army. That's the goal here.
Okay, got it. Jacket factory.
Yep.
I know we said we are going to leave this till the end, but I think we've been going for almost an hour and a half, right?
Yep.
My thoughts about how we could have structured it better. We did, because we were not part of the same region's event. We were like on our own. We made our own course. We had our own timing. We didn't have any workers. We had to like realize at the night before, like, oh, we should split these people, or was it the morning of? We should split these people into groups so that they actually work the course, because we don't have course workers. Things like that we did not think of nearly as well as we should have. And then I think the intro, like midday and outro meetings needed to be, to your point, like way more focused on learning mindset, way more focused on in a way
Just
goals, setting goals, like
goals.
takeaways for the day, that type of thing.
But then
that was a
also-
little too casual for me, for sure.
Yeah, also like just tying in the camaraderie of like all of us trying to get as best as we can at this like very silly sport, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like just kind of like just tie in the fun that was already being had, but like just kind of like wrap it up a little, like with a nice little bow.
Because the big thing is, like, especially with the people we had that were so quick at responding to the feedback, that kind of learning does not stick in one day at all. Like
No.
you have to have those takeaways in your mind for the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one. And sometimes it's going to be like 3 years later and you'll be like, God damn it, I forgot to do that thing. And we
Yep.
talked about that thing.
Yeah.
And it may not even come to your brain that we talked about it last week in 2026 when you're autocrossing in 2028. But that's the reality. And I wish if we had done something better with those meetings, or done a meeting at the end, especially,
Yeah.
like drive that home.
Yeah. And like the thing for, I'm hoping that a lot of the people that are at the school will listen to this episode. The thing that, to touch on basically what you just said, the thing that I would really want to drive home is you might have completely conquered whatever the low hanging fruit was that was pointed out today, but it is going to come back at some point. You're going to be like, why am I doing that thing again? And that's just part of the learning process where it's like, you have to recognize, oh shoot, I'm holding the wheel too tight again. Okay, I gotta concentrate on that for at least this next run or whatever, and then it will subdue and like go back to a subconscious executable. But every once in a while, these things like prop up. You're like, oh crap, my eyes are like freaking sucking again. Like, what are they doing? Like, it's a continuous like whack-a-mole of trying to be as good of a driver as you can. And when you put in your best runs is when the most moles were whacked.
Yeah, I like that analogy, but I disagree with I think the job is already done when you say my eyes suck, using your example.
To realize
you're not
that
going to have that. You're not going to have the epiphany like my eyes suck. Now what? You're going to have the like, I feel off today, or my results were bad today,
Yeah.
or I lost to somebody I shouldn't have lost to today. And then the analysis starts. And then the end of the analysis is probably something close to, oh, my eyes were down all day. Like I even asked somebody this weekend, can you remember on that run, were your eyes closer to the hood or to the top of the windshield? You know, that kind of conversation.
Yeah.
But observing that is at the start of the learning curve, not at the end.
Yes, exactly. Because recognizing the mistake is at least 90% of fixing the mistake. Tom, I have a question for you. Have you ever been skydiving before?
I have. I loved it. Have you?
Do you want to go again?
I would. When? Where? Why?
There's a listener of the podcast that wants to go skydiving with both of us, and they will pay for all of it.
I'm down. I loved it. Have you been before?
I haven't been before, but we need to pick I had clear instructions, which was to pick a place that has been around for like 20 years and they haven't killed anybody. That was like basically the clear instructions.
Oh, they're not a skydiver?
No.
Why do they want to go skydiving with us?
Because we are fun people, Tom. We will record a podcast while skydiving. You ready?
It doesn't have anything to do with anything. It's just they want to hang out with us.
Yeah. I'll tell you who
Sure.
it is. I'll tell you who it is later. It will make more sense when I tell you who it is. But they want to go skydiving with us, and they're willing to cover the cost, so we can all go have a bunch of fun and jump out of an airplane. Are you down?
Yeah, but for what goal? There's literally it's just
no
to hang
goal.
out and have fun.
It's just to jump out of a plane together. There
Okay.
doesn't need to be a goal. Fun is the
Yeah,
goal.
it was fun. I would do it again.
Yeah, okay. We're doing it.
The last time I was strapped to some guy who looked like Adam Levine.
Dang. I hope I get
Not a
that
bad
guy.
skydiving trip.
All right. I don't know what weekend this will fall on. It might have to happen in like October or something. But like we're doing it. Okay?
Down.
All right. I wonder how
I
many
did not expect us to end there.
I
Is this
wonder
the
how,
end?
It could be, but I wonder how many lizards we can fit into an airplane.
The plane that I did it from was, I think, 10 customers, and then that implies 10 Dive masters? No, that's scuba diving. Backpack operators. I don't know if you call it a skydiving instructor.
Okay, I'm gonna check, but maybe we get like a little group together in the podcast Discord to go skydiving together, because I think that'd be kind of cool. And we'll pick a
It is
weekend.
cool.
We'll pick a weekend where we're all able to go do it.
Deal.
All right, but it's not going to be this weekend because we've got plans. Tom, what do you got planned?
I'm commentating the SCCA Super Tour at Road America, which is the June sprints. They have 350 cars entered. They have 9 race groups. That's like within 100 cars almost of last year's runoffs. So a pretty big event.
Yeah.
We'll be on YouTube live Friday, Saturday, Sunday from 9 Eastern to 5 Eastern every day.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing. What are you doing?
I missed what track it was. What track is it?
Road America. So it's the
that'll
same
be
track
fun.
they run for the national championships later this year. It's the spring nationals of road racing.
Okay.
It's like the championship practice round.
Yeah. That'll be so all the heavy hitters should be coming out and stuff. That would be really entertaining.
Yeah, they have like 50 some spec racer Fords, 30 some spec Miatas.
Oh, yeah.
There's like 20 of each production class. There's like 30 some Formula Vs. There's it'll be again, I think this road racing I think I've said it before anyway, but I think the SCCA club racing on the initial watch is like a little bit like, what is this? Because the cameras don't move and it's a little stop and start. Like they run a lot of ads and stuff, but the racing in general, I think is really, really high quality. So if you haven't watched one yet, it's worth watching. And if nothing else, come give me shit in the YouTube comments.
Go say hi to Tom in the YouTube comments. Do you guys ever acknowledge the comments on stream?
Oh yeah, all the time. We call them
Yeah.
the associate producers
I love that.
because a lot of times they know more about something specific than we do.
Yeah, the associate. Oh, I love that. That's so charming.
Yeah. What are you doing this weekend?
So I've been wanting to do this since I was a child, Tom. Ever since I saw it, I'm like, oh, I want to go do that. I want to go do that. And I'm not going to go do it by myself. And I've been bugging Christine for years to go do whitewater rafting. That's what I'm going to do this weekend.
Oh, fun.
Have you ever
Where are
done
you
it?
going?
Have you done it?
I have, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like I'm the only person that hasn't done this. The chat's about to blow up with like, oh yeah, I did that too. And it's like, I've been the only person that's never done this, but, we're going to, it's a small little town called Ohiopyle. And, there's like all these like big rivers that kind of run into the same, area. And I remember last year the rivers were absolutely crazy. They were like, I don't think it would be that crazy because it just rained a bunch. But I remember like hiking these hiking trails and looking over at the river, and people were in rafts having the time of their lives, Tom. And I tried to get us to do it that weekend. But Christine's not about like doing spontaneous, like, oh, you know, we had these plans. Screw those plans. We're doing something else. Like that's me. That's not Christine. So we're doing it this time around this year. So we're going to Ohiopyle and we're going to do some whitewater rafting. It's going to be great. I've got like different mounts to like try to mount a GoPro to my head because I need to capture this. This might be the only time I ever do this ever in my life. I want to capture it. So hopefully I have fun footage and hopefully I don't lose the GoPro I just bought in the river.
Hope not. Do you know what level rapids you're doing? If I remember correctly, there are 5 levels of rapids.
If
I remember correctly, 4 is pretty intense.
I think there's 6. It said 3 and 4 is, I think, the thing. Oh God, people make me nervous. Dang, 4 to start. Did we goof? It said it was fine with no experience.
I think it'll be fine. Yeah, I mean, you're mostly just like holding on.
Yeah,
but you might go over some like, I don't know, 8-foot drops.
Yeah,
6, 8, 10-foot drops.
That's great. I read that if you want the most fun, you sit on the front of the boat, and so I'm like totally down. I'm just like, throw me in, put me in, coach. I want to experience it all. So that's what I'm doing. Maybe I'll sit in the back of the boat sometimes to get footage of like the entire group. It's just me and Christine, and then we'll be paired with like other people. But I'm thinking if this is kind of cool, like, I don't know, maybe we get a group together, Tom, and we go whitewater rafting. That sounds like it would be a good time.
I missed the last part of that. Your mic cut out for me at least.
Oh, I was saying,
go whitewater raft.
if this is fun, which I'm assuming it will be, like maybe we get a group together and we go do some like whitewater rafting together. That'd be pretty sick.
That would be cool. You're doing such Boy Scout stuff.
I know.
You're going hiking
Yep.
and whitewater rafting
Yep.
and skydive. You're going to get so many badges.
Oh, I can't wait. I get my camping badge, get my cooking badge when I make some quesadillas on a pan on our little Coleman propane thingy. Yep. I think it's called a grill.
And then you have to bully the weird kid. That's part of it too.
Yep, absolutely. Push him overboard.
As a former weird kid.
As a
That's
former
part of it.
weird kid.
I think a part of it. I think that was part of it.
Bill says I have to drink my pee to survive. I might skip that badge. Just saying. That might be the Mark Kruger says I'm the weirdo. Dang it. Oh, it's true though. I am kind of the weird kid.
All autocrossers are. We were all the weird kids.
What if we get a bunch of autocrossers to go and we're all the weird kids? Do we just throw ourselves in the river?
We bully the weirdest one. I'm kidding.
Oh no.
All right, well, have fun. That's super cool. I'm excited for that for you.
I'm excited for it too. And it will be great practice for the next weekend, which is the Toledo Pro Solo.
Nice.
In no way that makes sense, but it should be fun. All right. Do you got anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I could have talked even more, and we haven't even done any questions as well. So we will get to questions next week.
Oh, yeah, there was a good question. You know what? We gotta end this thing at some time. Yeah, we'll talk about it next week. Oh yeah, the Brunswick Pro is canceled because some other club, somebody in it ran a scooter on the runway, and the FAA is running an investigation on aeronautical activities, and then that cost a really good event to get canceled. Womp womp.
Yep.
So, all right. Somebody brought Mark brought it up in the chat. So there we go. There's your news coverage of the week. And with that, we're gonna have Tom send the show out.
You know, of all the fun we had this weekend, my favorite was hanging out with you and Christine at the Airbnb and having dinner and all that. So I love your guys' hair, and I hope y'all win.